All right. I started the broadcast. So, John, if you're going first, then take it away.
Sounds good. Hey, everybody. Let me start sharing. Can someone confirm that they see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, cool. So I'm going to delve into one of those things, like kind of not related at all to stuff that we do, but fun side note. So I've been playing some more Mario recently. And to that end, I present to you Super Mario Bros. 3 Wrong Warp, Arbitrary Code Execution in a Nostalgic Dreamland. So I don't know if you guys have heard about speedrunning, but it's been around a long time. The basic goal is to beat the game as fast as you possibly can. There's been some public events hosted primarily by Games Done Quick, which includes Summer Games Done Quick and Awesome Games Done Quick in the winter. And they have a lot of stuff up on YouTube. Any game you can think about, someone probably tried to race it. It's awesome. You should go check it out. They take donations for stuff like cancer. So it's kind of cool. I think last time they raised over $1 million. So it's pretty cool. And you get street cred if you go faster, and there are leaderboards and all that good stuff. So it's kind of complementing the goal of speedrunning is arbitrary code execution, where we examine some of the old games and like CPU architectures and memory and how the game manages that, because you have a lot more control in consoles. And so arbitrary code execution is some way of letting the person playing the game or whatever, but in this case, it's the person playing the game to actually execute code that they want versus something that was intended from the developers. And this, a lot of times, like you can do it a lot, but it's not very helpful. But in these cases, you could see maybe you could write something to give yourself a power-up, like Super Mario World has a lot of interesting stuff there. Or Super Mario Bros. 3, in this case, we can jump levels. So Super Mario Bros. 3 specifically has been around since like 1988, I want to say. But this one is so new because we have new awesome tools like memory fuzzers, and developing ways of just attacking the code from so many different vectors. So this was actually found somewhere in 2015, I believe. And there were a lot of cool people that did a lot of awesome research into it. It's pretty complex. I have some good links to videos at the end, but I'll just explain super high level. I don't know who's played, hopefully most of you, or else this is a completely useless conversation for most of you. But if you go to World 7-1, there is a pipe kind of on the bottom part. There's a pipe that leads down that you can't see the pipe. You have to kind of trick it. You have to actually catch like a particular pixel and be holding down so that you can go down this pipe. And when you get to the bottom of it, it's actually off of game memory where all these tiles are. So it's a pipe that's there, and it says, yeah, sure, go down 19 screens instead of 16. But 19, is 3 past, and so you're referencing unknown memory. So there happens to be a note block there that you can trigger. There are a few jump commands on the CPU that eventually end up running code that has to do with enemy locations. So the goal of this attack is to find in level 7-1 a way to set it up such that 3 contiguous enemies are in 3 contiguous locations, memory locations, are X values 20, E3, and 8F. So they're X values, right? Let's see. And I'll just go ahead and show some of what we're going to do. So this should only take a little bit, hopefully, and I'll slow down and kind of walk through what we're seeing. So this, I've pulled up some of the game memory. So over to the left, we see the address is actually what that memory value is according to the emulator here. And the value is in hex, our goal. And I, just for following along, I put what we want that to be over here in target. So eventually we want 93, 94, 95 to be these 3 values. And then all of the enemies, you'll see these values changing. All of the enemies can be, I want to say it's like 91 to 97. Not really sure. There's like 6 or 7 or 8 spots for enemies. And that's why in Super Mario Bros. 3, without any other hacks, you can't have any more than this many enemies on screen. Fun side note. So I'm going to unpause it. You can see as this guy's moving, he's going back and forth and back and forth. And over here to the left, I think my emulator is actually kind of wide. Well, whatever. So I think it actually stops somewhere over here. it's not way over here. So it starts at 0 and kind of goes up. So we're going to just start seeing what happens. I'm going to start playing and moving some of these guys around. So you have to, in order to manipulate where this stuff is showing up, in what slot. So that's, here, I'll pause again. So if we have 6, 7, 8 slots, I'll go with 6. I don't actually know what it is, but I'll go with 6. Then we want to make sure that these values end up in the right place. So what I just did there was important, that we throw it off to the right side, because otherwise later we would be changing one of these different memory addresses. Then that would not be contiguous. Then we would not be able to arbitrarily execute our code in the right way to go to the end credits that we want to do. So we're going to come up here and get these guys again. Similarly, we're just trying to enforce it so that the game ends up, like all the memory ends up in the state that we need it to be. I also saved up some save states in case we really need them as fallback, in case I inevitably screw this up. So this guy, I was a little too slow. You got to get him going up. That's like another one of those tricky things. He has to be flying up or else this won't work. This one has to be right on 20. So, I think I got it already. So if we look over here, these are some of the important values we have already. So one of them I bonked on the right side of one of those blocks, and that gave us the value E3, right? Because he's a little further to the right. And then this one I just bonked, stopped at 20. So this one is going to be a little fancier. One, I need to take damage here, because otherwise you can't really do this trick, and you'll see why in a moment. But I'm going to wait until he starts, because the only way to get him at that location, given that you have wing suit, the raccoon suit, and all that stuff. Here, hold on, give me a second. Yeah, okay. So that was a pretty particular timed trick. So given what you had, this is the only, well, there are a few ways. This is the easiest way to get it to set it to 8F properly. So we've set up, wait, something is wrong here. I messed up this value, I think. Oh, wait, I didn't give it time. Hold on. Oh, no, I messed up that value. Well, here, I'm just going to cheat and use a save state and get back to where I was. Actually, I don't even think I have a save state for that. Yeah, okay. Well, it was there. Well, here, I'm going to do, what's the next easiest thing? I'm jumping through save states here, sorry. So I'm going to do the next easiest thing and just show you the warp, the actual thing that we're going to go down, and then I'll load a save state that has the correct memory address, just so you can see what I'm talking about. So here is there's a pipe down here that I'm trying to clip. It's kind of harder with the raccoon suit. I'm used to being small with it. But you have to run at a particular speed and clip right on this pipe here. It's killing me. I might even just go back. Here, I'm going to go back and be small again. All right. There we go. I think I got that one. There we go. See how I ended up at 8F? So now we have all the correct memory locations, and we just need to clip in here. There we go. Yeah, it's a lot easier when I'm small. Okay, so we have all of our memory set up. This takes a while, so I was going to explain during this. This is where we're going down 19 screens, where Super Mario Brothers, for this level, the setup is 16 screens typically. We're going to actually be out of expected memory. But, you know, usually you throw an exception like, oh, you're not allowed to do that on our applications. But, again, since you write code specifically for the Nintendo, they just haven't accounted for this yet. Not really in the expected place. Okay, so now where we are is we have the right memory. There's a note block that I think you would have seen really briefly, possibly. Anyways, we should be touching it right now. To actually trigger this jump, you do literally jump. To trigger the jump in the CPU, you jump as a player into the note block, which does a funky little animation change, and how that animation occurs jumps to our desired spot. So let's see, I'm going to try it. There you go. Okay. So I actually loaded a save state, of course, but there you go. So what we just did is jump. In the level table, we said, okay, we're going to jump to the princess chamber, and you win the game. and you win at life. Good job. And hopefully you did it in the fastest time is, I think, 3 minutes and 6 seconds. Somebody beat the whole game starting from 1. I didn't want to do that to show you how terrible I am at this game, but here you go. Yeah, that's it. Let me go to also some links and stuff if you guys want to check out. I've shared the slides in the Espresso channel if you guys want to check it out, or if you ping me, I can give you the stuff. This is a lot of the technical stuff is in this one, how it works. And then this is an easy tutorial. It's the one that I just kind of did. And then here is Mitch Flowerpower is one of the runners. At the end of his hour-long Super Mario Brothers 3 run of not using a warp at all, he did this in an amazing way, like super pro, like the fast way, not my slow, sucky way. He did it really well. And I have it right at 1 hour and 22 seconds is right when he nails it. So you guys should probably watch that. But that's it for me. Does anybody have any questions? Close this. I'm going to assume there are no questions. I'll give you the
actually ask. I've shown other game manipulating stuff that you've done before, but this one you can't really make any money out of it, right?
Yeah, it's kind of no direct money. So I do think that there's kind of like indirect money though. So we have a lot of streamers on Twitch, and if you keep beating stuff like this super fast and you keep being that guy and you're setting the records, there are a lot of guys that have quite a lot of followers, and some guys just do it full time, like professionally. So for example, this video, this guy, his name is Graham Pooh Bear. He, as far as I know, he says he's there like 6 to 8 hours a day. I think that he just professionally streams all the time, and it's always Mario content. So right now he's playing a new one that was released like a week ago called, oh crap, I forget what it is, Super Dram World 2, I want to say. And it's a Super Mario World ROM hack from another awesome guy who does kind of similar things. Anyways, they make a living doing this. So it's cool. And if you get more viewers, you know, Twitch and YouTube, you get more ad revenue. So I think it does kind of indirectly contribute to it. If not, you know, you don't actually, Nintendo's not like, oh, here's $5. Good job. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks so much.
I have a good list of people actually to watch. They're pretty awesome if you are interested.
Sure. Let's share it with on the Tea Time docs that we have. I've noticed that you've been updating those. If you can share the links in the for today's talk, that'd be great.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, thanks everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Next we have Alan. Hey, Alan, if you're all ready to go, then just take it away.
Yeah, sure, thanks. I was going to present something that I was working on for the Mobile First Story Page project. I thought it was pretty neat how it works. And I think we could use some of the conclusions from this project, from this story to do other things. It basically, what it does is it makes a hybrid site. It makes it so that you AJAX in the content instead of loading a full page. So it loads it in about a second as opposed to, what is it, 13 seconds or so. But we have the, I'll show you what it is real quick and then I'll explain it a little. We have a story that talks about pagination. So using a site called theoutline.com as an example, we did this with our site. So a typical mobile site, and I've changed the style a little bit, but a typical mobile site, you got everything vertical and all the content's there, and it's got a sticky header. Oh, sorry. Thank you for that. I'm not sharing the screen. Let me see how to do that. Okay, does everybody see now? Okay. Sorry. So for a typical mobile story page, you have the content, and I have changed the size of this. We're still working on this, but you go down and you see the content, sticky header. But what we wanted to do is make it so that it paginates left and right, and it will match the story well. In other words, the stories that you get in the list will be the same stories you get in the story well right here. And you can change the topic as well. So the way I do that from a high level is I do an AJAX call. I'll show you what the AJAX call is. It's basically the same result as the story well, but it only has basic information. It has the title, description, image, identifier, which is a UUID, and the URL is in there somewhere. Yeah, there it is, URL. So these are the 5 things that are returned. And that's pretty much most of what I need in the beginning. So what I want to do is you go to the page, and I haven't done the push state. I haven't perfected that yet, so I'm not doing that. But you move it right, and you see that it immediately shows the next story. It's above the fold. And so you do that, and it's immediately visible. I go back, and the previous one's there, and I go forward, and the next one's there. What the user may not know is that the content isn't loaded yet. It's done. The only HTTP request has been the image when you load a new slide. Now, when you move down, you'll see there's going to be an HTTP request, an AJAX request right there, and it loads the content. But what it does is it gets the story, the actual content of the story, instead of the whole page. It gets the entire page, actually, at least for now. We're going to work on this later. But Methode actually delivers the page pretty fast. It's what the problem is we start to go through the CSS and the JS and reading all that and executing it. That's what takes a lot of time. But the page actually loads pretty fast. And I just use JavaScript to spit it out on the page. So it keeps the scroll position, and you can go back and forth, and you see the scroll position stays where you were. Now you go forward, and you see the next story. It hasn't loaded it yet. You scroll down, and in about a second, it loads the content. And in Preview Dev, some of the images don't load for some reason, but you can see that's how fast it loads it, usually about a second. Now, when you go back to 2 stories back, it moves it back to the top because we only have 3 slides. It's a previous, current, and next slide. So the content's stored in the browser, and so it's immediate when you move down, if the user does go back. But there are some people that just like to keep scrolling, and they'll keep doing this for a long time, and they won't look at any content. So this keeps the content from loading so that we don't waste HTTP requests and bandwidth from people who are these super swipers. But then as soon as they move down, then it starts to do the content. So that's basically what it does and how fast it does it. And basically, it does this. If it's less than halfway, it'll go back to where it was. If it's more than halfway, it'll go to the next one. Also, it does velocity. If you swipe really fast, then it will just go to the next one, even though you're less than 50% of the width. And to get into the code, I did a lot of this custom because I noticed there were really no libraries that did exactly what we wanted. And I had to do some custom things. And it's still being worked on, by the way. But we load the stories in an AJAX request. And then it sets up the slides. And the trick is the touch the touch motions. So the touch start and the touch end doesn't have a location for the X and the Y. So we have to store that when we move it in the the touch move callback, it gets the location of the X and the Y. And then once you do the touch end, then it will have that stored. And that's how it knows where you click let up on the page. And then there is a function in here somewhere, touch move. So it detects if you move vertically or horizontally. So the way that works is if you start to move vertically, then you can't move left and right. You're locked into the vertical scrolling. Now, if you move left to right, you can't move down now. You're locked into that, even though you move up and down. So it kind of intelligently figures out how you want to move past the threshold. And once you get past a certain vertical threshold, then it will load the content. And so basically, what I did was I took the Storywell collection and made it to spit out Ajax instead. And let's see if there's anything else. That's pretty much what it is, but I thought it was really nice, the speed it loads, the perceptive speed. It makes the user think it's loading immediately because the image is pretty much there. Once you move to the next slide, you can't move past that next slide. As soon as you let up, then it loads the next one. And the user doesn't even notice that there was a delay. There was an HTTP request. Once you get past, so the original HTTP request loads 10 items. So it'll load at every 10 items you swipe down. So in theory, you could do this forever, although we might want to set a limit on this. Let's see. Anything else I'm missing? That's pretty much how it works. This is kind of, I guess you could call it a hybrid site, where it's partially Ajax. For the user, it could be Ajax, and for the search engines, it could be a typical site where it does a complete page load. So the Google bots and the other search engine bots won't use Ajax to do this. They'll use the typical links and then read the entire page. So you lose no SEO benefit from using this method. I still have to work on the push date for the history to change the URL, and we got to change the meta and do an add call after that as well. But that's on the to-do list. Are there any questions?
Yeah, Ellen, is this part of the mobile project that you guys are working on?
Yeah, it's part of the mobile first. There was a request to do pagination, and they used the site, the outline, to do this. They like the example from this site, which I can reload. So once you click on a story, then it has the dots to show where you are, but you can move up and down. So it works kind of like this. And it's just a nice way to view a bunch of stories really fast. And so it kind of mimics that, but we did our own little thing as well. I also tried to use pure CSS translate X to work with the motion right here. So it eases out. This is called the ease out transition. Easing in is like it'll start slow and then it'll snap really fast. Easing out, it initially goes really fast and then it will slow down like this. And I did that with a custom function. It's the values are set through JavaScript, but it's a CSS. It's CSS that's actually doing the translate right here. So the way it works is the ease out function, and you could do your own function as well. You get a current step and then the number of steps. Like it can be any arbitrary number. You can do 100, you could do 10. So it takes the current step, like 1 of 10, and it does a calculation. And using this formula, math power to 5, it returns an extrapolation of where you are between steps 1 and 10. So what this function does is it would return, like, the first one would be like 40%, the second one like 60 or 70, and then the third one 80, and then it'll slow down once it gets to 90. So that's a simple easing out function. And I take this function and I use it to generate the actual X position. So that's a custom. I'd like to do custom if possible. So it saves us from writing a big library or pulling in a library to do this. But yeah, it's all in an attempt to make the stories load a lot faster.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that that you did the customization on the code. But I was just wondering, don't progressive web apps or single page apps are there libraries that provide similar functionality for those different?
Yeah, there are some things. I didn't find anything that does exactly this, though, a pagination type method. It kind of works like most of the galleries out there, like sliders, but the sliders and galleries have a lot of overhead, and they don't do exactly what we need them to do. And this whole thing, I mean, with the comments, it's like 400 lines, no libraries. It needs some, I still got to work on it a little bit to make sure it works smoothly, but it's a lot smaller than using libraries. And,
I see. I actually have a question about that. What was that end touch feature where you move vertically and you're stuck in vertically until
yes.
you go? Can you go a little deeper into that? I've noticed that with a lot of the other apps on, for example, Android, Street View, for example, where
Yes.
I touch the screen. I don't really intend to go, for example, vertically, but there's a little movement horizontally. And now I'm stuck in the vertically, and it's that in that case that's really not desirable, right? How what is there like a library? You said it's intelligent, it can tell. What is that? Is it a library that you're using, or is it a feature that comes?
You do the touch. Touch. No, it's just using the native browser.
But is the native browser that can decide that you want to do vertical?
No. That I wrote that myself.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so I just set a couple of variables, like 15. The touch direction threshold I set it at 15. The load content, what this is if you move down more than 40, then it will load the content. But the touch direction, it could be any number you want. Let's say you move 15 pixels in any direction, and if you move vertically 15 pixels first, then it locks you into vertical, horizontal, and locks you into horizontal. So the way that works is, let me see if I can find where I put that. Handle touch move. So you click down, you touch down, and this will be triggered. It'll get your location, the original location, and it will see if your location was the delta, in other words, the difference between one place and another. If it's greater than 15, then it will lock you into vertical. Otherwise, it will lock you into horizontal. Now, I do want to cancel the... Now, in the beginning, I did cancel the touch action, the touch, what it does in the browser, because I don't know which way they're going to go, and the browser moves the page natively. I mean, it moves it left and right, up and down, without any of these functions. So I want to prevent that. Now, if I do horizontal, then I want to prevent it altogether. But if I do vertical, I'm not going to prevent browser, the touch interactions with the browser. So that's how it does it. It just uses this simple function to set the touch direction. and then it locked you into left or horizontal, vertical. Is that what you wanted to know?
Yeah, yeah. I was curious
Okay.
how it was implemented, and yeah, that's
Okay.
pretty cool actually that you actually wrote that up. Cool. That's all the questions from me. Anyone else have any questions for Alan? I guess that's it. Thanks to Alan and John. We're going to have Dan Cobb also present on some really cool ideas for our new build and deployment process that would get us off of methods and SVN and move everything to a Git based version control system. But he had a different urgent meeting, so he couldn't make it today. But I'm gonna try to make sure that we can have him for the next Espresso Talk. And yeah, he's gonna go over a lot of new stuff that will make a lot of people happy when it comes to deploying things. But that's it for today. Thanks for all the presenters, and thanks for everyone for showing up.
Thanks. Bye.
Take care, guys. Bye. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Mason.
Goodbye.